It's like the old wrestlers that used to come up with their own nickname. I'm Mr. Gorgeous.
Right. I'm the sexiest host in golf podcasts, by the way.
Yes, right.
Well, that
Actually,
may be true.
That
may be
I can't
true.
believe it doesn't say that on your mug.
Right down my face.
Have you ever actually heard anybody's hamstring just pop? Just wait for the end of this episode. I'm going to try to touch my toes.
Welcome to Bizarro World, where
Yes.
Matt's going to teach us how to get in shape.
Into
Sorry,
a
Matt.
shape.
That's right. That's right. A shape. Pear is a shape.
What's up, friends? I am here in the Myrtle Beach airport because I just finished an unbelievable weekend of 4 days of golf, 5 rounds in 4 days. I think I broke 90 twice. It was not ideal. That being said, lots new to work on. Driver chief among it. This episode is just Brian, myself, and Hayes, and we just had a lot of fun recording it. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you on the other side. All right, bye.
Oh, I am so. My hamstrings are like you could play them like a guitar string. They are they are so tight. My wife is always like, "Why aren't you stretching more?" Hey, welcome back to the Bogey Ball Society. Things are looking ominous for Matt.
All right. That sound you heard was Matt's hamstring snap.
Yes.
That's right. Have you ever actually heard anybody's hamstring just pop? Just wait for the end of this episode. I'm going to try to touch my toes.
Matt set a new swing speed record, and then he broke.
And then he's broken.
Speaking of swing speed, Mr. Scott Fawcett has been posting quite frequently him doing speed. He's doing speed training with the driver. He's not doing with anything else. He's just using a driver. And his speed that he posted yesterday was 141.
Yeah.
With a driver, 141. I think his ball speed was 203 or some absurd number. We are going to have him back on. I don't know what else to say. I cannot get over. I also I did not realize how big of a dude he was. Because sitting in front of a computer, it's hard to gauge. Like, Brian, you look huge right now.
Yeah.
You're massive,
And, huge dude.
Those phone books are really working. But it is. I was very, very surprised and impressed. So anyway,
Well, he talks about he's always been able to hit it pretty long, and then it's been a motivation for him to just get faster. And he's after he's trying to get on PGA Champions and just launch it past everyone there. But that is interesting. I'm a fan of the stack, and I used Super Speed before that, and I've always been about like speed training devices. But Scott's not alone. Like, I think we've heard Mike Carroll in particular talk about speed training just with your driver, and this is how to get faster with your driver. There's even a new product out. You've probably heard of it, Speed Toad. Yeah, where they basically it's a weight, but it goes on your driver shaft.
Right.
And their whole thesis is, or argument is, if you want it to transfer to the course, you need to be swinging your driver shaft. And personally, anytime you're going to disagree with Sasha McKenzie, you're already behind the 8 ball with me for credibility.
For real, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not saying Sasha's infallible or that there aren't other ways to do it.
Right.
But I the guy's literally known as the smartest man in golf. You know what I mean?
And he didn't even come up with that himself.
But it could. Right.
Like, it's like the old wrestlers that used to come up with their own nicknames, right? It's like, I'm Mr. Gorgeous, and I'm the smartest man in wrestling.
Right. I'm the sexiest host in golf podcasts, by the way.
Yes, right.
Well, that may be true. That may be
can't
true.
believe it doesn't say that on your mug.
Right down my face.
Cheers to that, Hayes. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Cheers. All right. Hey, so listen. So Jason's not able to make it today. He's got some family obligations. But we wanted to launch into the hows and whys of getting fit.
Let's clarify right there. Like getting fit for your equipment. This isn't like
not getting physical.
This isn't a workout routine thing.
I would not be talking if it was about getting physically fit. just rewind 45 seconds to the hamstring popping conversation.
Welcome to Bizarro World, where Matt's going to teach us how to get in shape.
Into A shape.
That's right. A shape. Pear is a shape. Nobody ever said it wasn't.
So fit for equipment.
Yes.
Yeah. So getting fit for clubs, getting fit for driver, wedges, irons, whatever it is, the importance of and ways you can avoid making mistakes. Because I think I certainly have gotten fit before with, sometimes it's just a mindset. I go in with no idea of what I want and everything they say sounds awesome. Sometimes that is really fun. Sometimes there is a spot for that. If you aren't looking to upgrade anything in your bag and you just want to go test all the new equipment, go for it. That's awesome. But a targeted fitting, I think, is going to be to so many people's benefit.
Oh yeah.
Whether you are an extremely high handicap or an extremely low handicap. In fact, I was just having a conversation with a friend of mine. She's recently gotten into golf. She's I don't even know what she is. I think maybe 12 or 13 or something like that. She's playing pretty well. But she said, I don't know if I'm good enough to get fit. And so then that opened up this whole can of worms of like, I'm a firm believer that a fitting actually helps higher handicappers more than it would help somebody who's a 1 or a 2.
Well,
because
so that's interesting. So, and I do wonder people's different perspective on that. Like, if someone's going to get started, do they play a little bit so that they kind of know what their swing is and then get fit? Or do you know what I mean? Or is it like, let's do the fingertip to floor and figure out some specs right away? Because that seems unrealistic to me.
I would say so in general, I think even the thought process of I want to get fit for clubs almost never happens before you've been playing for a little while.
Sure.
So if you've got the bug, like if you got bit and you're like, oh, I really like this, that's probably the first indication of like, okay, great. So you've been playing at least a little bit. You've been playing semi-regularly, monthly, whatever that is. And there are, there's a ton of resources to go look at as to like how to get fit correctly. So it's not just us three telling you what to do. But I mean, I can tell you that the first fitting I ever went to was at a Golf Tech, which was very eye-opening. I had been playing pretty okay, but had never broken 90 and was really interested in getting better. And so my irons were Ping I2s from 1980, maybe? I don't know. They were orange dot, so 2 flat. Hayes, you will love that.
Happened to you, Matt, too.
I know.
You should have stopped there.
Well, the funny thing is,
you going the wrong way.
In that fitting, they used a lie board, and the guy was like, "Hey, 2 degrees flat, perfect." And so those irons were built to 2 degrees flat. They were the Sim Max from 2020, so that's kind of the time frame we're looking at. And then I went and got another fitting just for fun. This was like I went to True Spec, which is a brand agnostic. They've got everybody, and mostly it was just a Christmas present from my in-laws. That was very nice. They had a sale, and they were like, "Yeah, go do it. It's fine." And so I told the guy to treat me like I had an unlimited budget because I was not buying that day. And well, and I will say I think it's a really important point.
Oh, yeah.
That you need to know what your budget actually is. So that would be my first point would be know what your budget is. Because if you go in and you don't tell them and they fit you into a $3,000 set of irons and you're like, I've only got $55. Like
right.
you're going to walk out disappointed. Yep. And also it really helps the fitter not fit you into something that isn't going to work for you.
Yeah.
So
you don't want to waste their time. And you don't want to have your time wasted.
That's right. And it's a process. That was a 4-hour or 5-hour. It was a full day. I mean, it was like I got there at 9 a.m. and I think I left at 2. But we hit everything. We hit irons and drivers and wedges. Oh my. And anyway, it was a really, really cool experience. And it was the first time I ever hit the Strixons, which was an awesome experience. And but I think knowing that I wasn't buying that day, the guy was getting paid anyway. Like it was a it was a paid fitting, so he was just there to have fun. And so we just talked shop. We talked golf for 5 hours and nerded out. And so it was a really fun experience, but it wasn't necessarily like dialing anything in. Have you guys done one just for fun? Like even if it's just a big box store?
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I don't know that I've ever done that. Like every time I've gone to get fit, I am making a purchase.
Mm.
And I've made a purchase that immediately after that fitting, which I envy you. What I would like to do sometime is next time I'm going to buy clubs, I do plan to like go get fit, walk away, come back, get fit again. You know what I mean? And kind of have like multiple sets of data.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've heard Mark Crossfield talk about that, like relying on like one day's set of data.
Yeah.
It might not be the best way to go about it because, you could be, this level dehydrated, fatigued, or whatever the million different variables that are impacting your swing that day. So really, if you could stack some data and if you had the time to go, now, I don't know if I have the time to, nor do I know that I can find a fitter who's like, hey, this is his 7th fitting and maybe this time he'll make a purchase. That's
Yeah.
probably not realistic.
No, but you've done it a couple times. So in your mind, I know you're not a numbers guy, but you're building up a catalog in your mind of what generally you see, what your numbers generally are. And if somebody came to you with a fitting result that's wildly unexpected, that would be like, okay, maybe it's a trust but verify situation here. I'm going to have to come back and do something again just to make sure that I'm not doing what I normally do.
Well, I can tell you, Hayes, that this is part of what we've been talking about for the last 6 months or 4 months or whatever it is. But I got fit at 4 degrees up, and every iron I hit in that fitting, every 7 iron was peeling off the planet. That is not my normal ball flight. I don't see that every day on the course. And so, and I did tell the fitter, I did say, this is weird. This is not my normal, like I'm out to in, but not off the planet out to in. But it was so consistent through the whole fitting that it seemed like, oh, I guess maybe I'm just, I don't know. I honestly don't know what that day was. But I will say that the other fitting that I did that day, back in 2022, the one that was just for fun, I shanked the first 30 irons I swung. Like missed, it was a nightmare. And that is also not my normal, thank God, that's not my normal swing.
So you needed a Hazeless club is what you needed.
Or one that was significantly larger and I could just stand at the back of the room and just swing, try to hit the
when
toe.
I hand you the tennis racket and say, why don't you try this?
But
pickleball.
I think that's a really good point, is that you're trying to base your future purchase and future performance on one day's worth of data, which can be very tricky.
Yep.
So I think to that point, if you have a day where you're seeing ball flight that you don't normally see, you got to speak up and you got to tell the fitter, like, that's not my normal flight. Can we pretend that it's half that or something? I think being a fitter must be incredibly hard because.
Yeah. So I just had a driver fitting this past Friday.
Oh, right.
I was at PXG Cincinnati, and I can elaborate more on my PXG love affair some other time. But I will tell you, like, the fitter hears so many people coming into the bay telling them, oh, I normally hit this X number of
I
yards
always hit
farther.
a 310.
Or I usually hit a draw,
right?
That kind of stuff. And I got to tell you, like, I almost feel for the fitters because, there's reality that, TrackMan foresight is picking up versus, what the individual tells them. Yep. And a fitter's got to be able to kind of tactfully like burst the bubble and say, no, you probably shouldn't be an extra stiff. Here's this regular flex, that kind of thing. But then I will say also, I think it's a real thing. Some people get nervous and are not loose and relaxed and able to swing well in an indoor bay or in a fitting in general. So, that's another reason I think to, I mean, I could give a lot of different nuggets here of what I think are kind of the secrets to a good fitting, and one of them is just basic comfort level with a fitter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you can kind of if you can screen them or know them in some manner ahead of time, all the more to you. And most every place has like a website to their fitters and like little bios. You can get to know them. Schedule the fitting in person before you actually do it, so you can at least meet the individual.
Yep.
I mean, I'm making it sound like it's a marriage proposal, but it is a big deal.
Yeah.
You're trusting this person with an investment of
It-
potentially well over $1,000.
I think that's pretty minimal. If you're looking at irons, you're probably looking closer to 1,500 or $2,000.
Oh
so,
yeah, at least.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I just
totally
had
agree, yeah.
I just had a fitting for ping clubs for some long game clubs, and I went to a fitter that I've been fit at a couple times, and he does it differently, certainly differently than a big box store, but hitting balls outside on a range, premium golf balls, seeing the flight in real life.
You off grass or you have a mat?
I am off a mat. I think
just out of
for
curiosity.
for wedge fittings, you go out onto, they have a short course, so you can actually hit some real shots there. But for the iron and driver fittings, they are off mats, but they're the premium mats, so you get some of that good stuff there. But I saw 0 of the numbers during the fitting. That one, we barely even talked about the numbers during the fitting. So it's just, hey, look, that line of, your yardage markers is the left-hand side of the fairway. That fence is the right side of the fairway. Your target is that water house out in the hills, and you're just swinging at that. And it was a totally different experience, because now I'm not thinking about, I got to swing harder, I got to swing here, I got to do this. I'm saying, look, there's my fairway. Go hit the fairway. How many times can I hit the fairway with this club? And he'll come in every few shots, tweak it, move it around. We're just having a conversation. And I couldn't have told you at any point in time which driver I was hitting, which shaft was in it, what the weight was, where it was set. I'm just trying to hit golf balls. And he'll ask questions. Oh, how'd that feel? How'd that feel? How does that look? What's your miss? Like, you want your fitter to be having a conversation with you. And then at the end, he went into the Ping Copilot app and he goes, well, here was the average of the last 3 shots or whatever. And it's 99.7% optimized for how I was swinging that day. And it's cool. Just write it up. Let me know what it is.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the
dream.
dream.
Do you like not being able to see the numbers though? I mean, do you prefer to kind of go in blind like that?
I'm a numbers guy. So
I was going to say.
It was just a totally different experience, because I got to just be a shot maker trying to hit a shot and not worrying, because I know myself, if I go to PGA Superstore and I'll go into the demo bay if I want to go try out equipment, which is not a fitting. That is not a fitting. You should
I
still
think that's point
do
number
that.
2. Hitting clubs is not a fitting.
You should
that's just fun.
Do that. That there's value to doing that, but that is not a fitting. But I'll get up there and I'll be like, oh, I'm only swinging at 102 right now. Let me try to really get to, and you're not focused on hitting a good shot, right? You can get into that launch monitor chasing distance mode, right? Versus when you're seeing the ball flight, you're like, ooh, that one really peeled off. I don't want to be doing that.
Well, I had the part of the reason I wanted to talk about this was because I had what I considered to be the best fitting I mean, it's not even close. It's the best fitting I've ever had. Was at a place called Forward Golf, which has kind of gotten a bunch of buzz now because they've been designing their own irons, but it comes from the fitting. So the guy that runs the company, his name is Chad. We're shooting to have him as a guest on here, so stay tuned for that. But he was a coach, and he was trying to coach his players and talk about, how can I coach you if I don't know what your miss is, if I don't know what your good shot looks like or your bad shot looks like, and so he basically learned how to fit so that he could recommend clubs that would best suit a person's individual swing. And so he didn't come at it from a fitter's point of view. He came at it from a coach's point of view. And when he realized that most fittings are hit a 7-iron of this brand, and then try this brand, and then try this brand. And once you like a brand, then you stick a shaft in it. He felt like there was some missing stuff. And I won't speak for him entirely, but it was a really eye-opening thing because they've developed this system where they have 8 different variables that you're testing. And there's 3 clubs for each variable. So you're hitting 24 different clubs and 3 shots each. So you hit, and by that, if you shank one, which I only did one, I was very proud of myself. They strike it from the record, you know. They tell the jury to ignore it. But his dream, he even said, he was like, if I could run a business exactly the way I want to, he said, and unfortunately I have investors who come in and expect to, you know, they've seen YouTube and they know when you go get fit, you look at the ball flight. And so, you know, he's using a GC quad. He said, but if I could just have you hit into a net and I just knew the numbers, that would be the dream, because then you're not chasing anything. You're not looking at the ball flight saying, oh, I don't normally do that. Or because each of the club
Start
settings,
trying to make adjustments.
Oh my God. He said, that's why we only do 3. He said, because it's
one
he said,
shot.
and I actually asked, I said, how often does it take, or how soon does somebody adjust? And he said, shot 2. If you're really paying attention, shot 2, you make an adjustment. And by shot 3, you've already adjusted. So the system is really designed, like he does not give you more than 3 unless you mess something up. But he's testing bounce, he's testing lie angle, he's testing all like shafts from heavy to light to stiff to extra stiff to loosey goosey. Like there's so many different things. And then the last thing is grip size. So he has you hit an undersized or a standard, a mid-size, and a jumbo or something. He basically goes through all these different variables. But it was so cool. And I had I will say, I was very comfortable. The ball flight that I was actually seeing was almost exactly what I see on course. So it was one of those days where I felt like, oh, I'm putting a good swing on the ball. Sure. And because I knew I was only hitting 3 for each thing, I didn't have to feel like I was banging balls all day. Like I just was there. It was a very focused, I think it was an hour and a half or something. And we went through a ton of information. And it was a really, really cool fitting in a way that I had never seen it done before. And I know that the goal is to get more fitters trained in this style, because you really hone in. It's nice that they also make their own club, so they can literally make the club exactly, you know, they can grind it. They can grind the bounce exactly how you need it. They can put the shafts in that you really need or want. But I did get to hit the TPT iron shafts, which was really pretty cool. That's what they have installed in the shafts, in the clubs. Holy cow. Yeah.
I gotta give
it
you
was
some
hard.
of
It was
that.
hard to walk away from that and say, no, thank you. Please don't build me a custom set of clubs. But yeah. But anyway, it was such a cool experience because there were so many things that they tested that I never felt like, oh, you're just trying to sell me the new TaylorMades or the new Cobras or the new whatever. Like it wasn't like that at all. And then at the end, the prescription that he gives you, he says, we can build you clubs using our clubs if you want, to exactly to spec. And if not, what did he say? The Apex Pros were a good fit for me. And then I don't remember the other one, but there was another. Basically, he just says, like, if you're Mizuno, the 243.
Okay.
He was like, so these would be the major OEM brands that I would recommend if you were going to go buy off the shelf and then have them, you know, fitted to you. So it was a really cool experience. But yeah, I loved that he was like, my dream would be to just have a blank net you to hit into, and for me to just tell you.
He doesn't even want you to see the outdoor flight.
No, because you chase it.
Yeah.
It's so hard not to.
Well, that sounds awesome, but the naysayer in me, I'm sure this gentleman is above board, right? But that sounds like you're making yourself very vulnerable to, well, the cynic in me says that I'm going to walk into a big box and you can't see the numbers, you're going to get plugged into whatever the incentive is for that particular salesman for that particular month. You know what I mean?
100%. For sure.
That part of it makes me a little uncomfortable with the notion of not being able to see the numbers.
Well, so one of the things that they do is that they will ship their fit kit to coaches across the country to be fitting their players. So they're not shipping it to a big box store. And then the coaches now have all this data and they can say, oh, great. So you, Hayes, should be in a high bounce iron at 2 degrees flat with a extra stiff shaft. Like, you have every parameter within the club build, and then you can go choose what club fits that profile. They're not going to sell you. I mean, they can build you a club, but it is an interesting model where they're actually, they have like whatever those are called, those Pelican cases.
Sure. Yeah.
Full of the clubs, and they just ship it. They ship it out, and I think you have to pay for shipping. I think that's the deal there. You pay for the shipping, and then you ship it back, and then they write up a prescription based on all your numbers. So
I guess what I'm saying is everything you've described just further emphasizes point number one of, find a fitter you trust and are very comfortable with.
A
Absolutely.
qualified fitter and club maker. If you're going to the big box store for a fitting, you should think of that as a demo more than a fitting.
Why is that? Can we dive into that?
Yeah,
because
there we go.
I think most people hear, I'm going to go get fit, and then they just assume
PGA Superstore, Golf Galaxy.
PGA Superstore, or Dick's, or Golf Galaxy.
And to be clear, we're not saying you can't get a good fit at one.
No. I think people often
Brian
do.
is saying that, but
not necessarily. Not necessarily. I just think it's more of a demo than a real fitting. You're not gonna go through length, weights. Like my fitter for the G440 was changing the back weight, finding the right back weight. He had different length shafts to try to figure out what was going on there. He's measuring the swing weight of my current club. No, he has a bunch of different brands.
Okay, got it. I just wasn't sure if he was a
dedicated so he's an independent top 100 club fitter. He does a lot of the colleges in the area and things like that. So, but yeah, like at the big box store, you're going to be able to try the stock shafts, which there's not a problem with. Like, I fit into one of the pink stock shafts, but you're not going to get a full selection. You're going to get what's tailored to that particular product line. And I don't know, you might have a kid who is just a golf fan that is working there for the discount, who's looking at the numbers on the screen, right?
There are definitely varying levels of expertise among big box fitters. There are some very good ones.
Oh, I've had some really good ones too. I'm not trying to talk poorly.
My big concern with a big box fitter is, to me, there's, and again, I'm going to sound like I'm passing myself off as some sort of expert, and I'm not. Like, among all of us on this podcast, I'm the least familiar with what the numbers ought to look like, but I know a thing or two, and it seems I've heard plenty of horror stories of the big box fitters, and it's a distance derby. Regardless of any other relevant factors. So, like, people end up walking out with some really loft jacked irons that don't spin and don't have the right launch angle, and you'll never hold a green with these things. Or it's in a driver fitting, they hit this one shot longer than all the other ones, but the dispersion was all hell over the place. You know what I mean? But that's the one they walk out with. You know, that kind of thing. There's, I think if you go to a reputable fitter, brand agnostic, and again, your comfort with that fitter and a well-reviewed, reputable fitter is going to put you into something playable, not something that just kind of wins the derby on that particular day.
I think that's a good point too, because it is our nature, and I think as the more golfers I talk to, I play a lot as a single, and I get paired with 3 randos a lot. Everybody is chasing distance, and so it's so easy to go in and say, I hit that one the furthest, without looking at dispersion, and without looking at land angle, and without looking at any of those other things, and you're only looking at and it's the one. You flushed 1 out of 8 or 10 And that is a recipe, I think, for you're going to be back at that big box store doing another fitting in 3 months because your game stayed exactly the same way, exactly the way it was. And
if you give me a 9-degree low spin driver, I will hit one that is long. I will also hit 3 or 4 that have about 700 total spin combined, and just
fall out of the
duck hook
sky
off the planet. Like,
well, so even there, like I'm not entirely sure that I know where I want to be from a range of spin. Is it 1800 to 2200? Is that ideal?
it depends on your speed and your launch angle and what your miss
so there it is.
right?
Right.
My miss is a really toe side ball that just loses spin and hooks off the planet.
Yeah.
So if I have something by default that has a little more spin, it protects against that. It's not going to help me if I leak one out to the right. Yeah, spin's going to get way cranked up. But that's why Scott Fawcett says choose a shot shape and stick with it, right? Because you can optimize your driver for what your shot shape is and protect against that miss.
That's actually helped me a lot since that conversation, because I know my miss is right, but my good shot is a very 5 or 10 yard fade. It's and it's repeatable. And so I have started aiming down the left side of fairways, and when I hit it, the random straight one, I'm in the left rough at the worst. Like I'm never in trouble over there. It's just when I get lazy and I don't fire, and then it goes into the the fairway on the right. That's the but again, even that is like, okay, like that's going to happen once or twice around. I'm mentally prepared for that.
Put your mind at ease a little bit when you can just do that.
Even there, like
thing.
I didn't do a driver fitting at forward. I just did the irons, and but I hit 2 of my own driver just because we had 15 minutes left, and he was like, "What do you want to do? You want to do wedges?" And I was like, "No, I just want to hit my driver. Just I'm curious to see what you have to say." And he said, "Yeah, you need a draw bias driver. Like that's gonna help you more than anything else." And I said, "But I have it in the draw setting." And he said, "Yeah, but it's a core model. It's not the same. If you get that," and he went and got an SFT, the Ping straight flight technology, and I hit 3 that were, I mean, for me, as far as I've ever hit a driver, and they did not move. They did not move off the line. They just, and I just started to laugh, and I was like, okay. I have grossly underestimated the technology, that the amount of weight that's in that heel to help that my problem. So yeah, I mean, even just that, like he didn't even really need to see me hit more than 2. He just was like, yeah, you just need more weight in the heel. It's not that hard.
Yeah,
like,
come here, you hacker. Here's your
pretty much
anti-banana
actually
driver.
I don't even care. In the fact, I almost bought a draw bias driver because I know that's my miss. And then I saw something online. Somebody was like, I don't know why anybody buys a draw bias driver. You can buy the core and put the weight in the heel. And I was like, oh, they're the same thing? Okay, great. Like,
yeah.
So then for my ego, I'm playing
a thing that doesn't the core
really,
model.
As if if I hit every fairway, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care what it was.
But that comes into play. There's always hammer. The temptation of it. It's the temptation of it. It's the stigma of it, right?
All right, so that's another question. So then, if you go to a fitting and it's a brand agnostic fitting, so you're not at a designated, you didn't go to PXG, you didn't go to Ping, and they put you in something that you do not want to play, like in your head, you have a bias against
here.
Whatever that is. Yeah, exactly.
Which is funny because for me that would be Ping.
If you don't like turbulators and they stick you in and you're staring down at turbulators, I don't mind them personally, but I can understand.
So good this year.
The underside is blue. It's so good
when I hit my turbulator.
Yeah, exactly.
It hits different this year. The sound is different.
Do you have the ability? I know. I think you and I maybe have that ability, but as an audience member, if they said you should be in game improvement irons, because I know this is a big topic that we see a lot of, is I don't want to play game improvement irons. I want to play at the very least player's distance.
Sure.
But there's a whole bunch of people that should be playing game improvement irons, and I'm not even excluding myself from this conversation. I think they help a lot of people.
They do.
A lot of people could benefit from being in game improvement irons, right?
So is there a mindset you have to? I mean, how open do you have to be? And it's also okay, I think, to be able to tell your fitter, I'm not interested in that, and watch them roll their eyes. But I mean, we have a buddy that we know that got fit into some like hybrid irons, and he didn't like them. He didn't like looking down at them. And I do think you do have to like what you look at. I do think on some level. However, if you played that for 3 rounds and you hit every green,
You
I
might
think you'd start
liking
to
it.
love the look. I mean, I love the look of this monster because it made a lot of putts for me, you know,
Sure.
and I went from not making any putts, and all of a sudden it was the most beautiful looking thing I'd ever
You
seen.
have some
So
good memories, and then all of a sudden,
And you also like have a thing for pretzels, so you know, it helps.
yeah, we'll keep that on the DL. That's obviously going to be now our clip, right? So
perfect.
Now, when you say brand agnostic, though, let's have this conversation a little bit, because I don't think it's any secret now that I'm Team PXG, right?
Not if anybody's listened to more than one episode.
Right. So to your point, brand agnostic from the standpoint of the fitter doesn't have an agenda on pushing you to any particular brand, and also there's it gives you the menu of options to find what is optimal. Does that accurately sum that up?
That is exactly right. So I have heard a few stories, and I really don't want to believe them, but they come from very reputable sources, where if you work in a big box scenario where they do sell
Callaway month,
and it's, you know, the new Elite is out, and there's a bonus if you sell 10 Elite drivers, you get a little kickback. If you sell 15 or something. So how, and I'm just saying, if I'm 25 and I'm working in this job because I love the discount and I love helping people play golf, it'd be really hard for me to push that bias aside and put somebody into a ping when I could get a little extra if I get them into the Elite. And if the numbers are close, am I going to now push the Elite? Also, I have a Callaway driver, just as for full disclosure. I'm not picking on Callaway. I'm just saying, if it is Callaway bonus month,
sure. It's gonna be a lot of editing if Callaway hits us up tomorrow with like, we did want to sponsor you guys.
We love you guys. You're not talking shit about us, are you? Hold on, give me 30 minutes. Yeah,
scrap it.
Yeah,
tailor-made.
I meant tailor-made. Yeah, exactly. I just moved my mouth like a.
Wait, we got to do that again. Insert brand name here.
Yeah, exactly.
Boy, I sure do hate those insert brand name here.
But I do think it's one of those things where it's why I think going to a fitter that has every brand is a better option for most golfers. However, if you are on board, I mean, I've hit some PXG clubs. They're incredible. There isn't a PXG store near me. It's part of the reason why I've only done, like, there was an outdoor fitting that I went to once, and I had an awesome experience because you got to hit off grass. I got to hit every model. I mean, they were incredible clubs, but they're not local. They're not really. I mean, there's one in San Diego. I could drive 4 hours to get fit, but you know, that's not really realistic.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's a valid point. Is that if you go into a store like that, I think it's important to know. I don't know how you would know. I don't know if you could even ask if they would tell you, like, hey, do you guys get an incentive if you sell a certain number of clubs this month? Because are they going to tell you that? I don't know. These are questions that I would
can't think that they would be able to tell you that.
I do have some friends in the retail golf space. That's a thing, though. That absolutely happens.
Oh yeah, of course.
Absolutely, yeah.
It tracks in my head. I mean, I can't, you know, obviously I don't work in that space, but it makes sense.
That's why if I'm going to just try a few clubs out, I love the, like, oh, it's ping demo weekend here at PGA Superstore, or it's because then I can go try out the whole family, right? I can try the low spin, the core model, and maybe I see what ones I like the looks of. I hit some decent shots with, like, the feel of, and then when if I go to a proper fitting, I have that information that I can talk to my fitter and say, yeah, I tried the core QI35 and the G440 LST. They seem to give me similar numbers. Like, let's look at those two and then go from there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what I would say to anyone, again, like, if you're willing to invest some time before you make your major purchase, go to a brand agnostic fitter. But then if you can, go find a PXG fitting cart or find a PXG location and give them a try. And I don't want to turn this into a PXG commercial because that could happen very quickly. It's a phenomenal fitting experience. And if you look them up, if you get on their website, they're not shy about saying they feel they have the best fitting experience in the industry. And I don't disagree. I mean, from the customer service before I even got into the fitting bay, phenomenal. And now granted, my only options were the clubs that they make. I get that. But I've been holy cow, I've been fit there 4 times now for different clubs. I've never had more of a no stone unturned kind of fitting where I think I'm done and they're like, no. And they try this, they're moving the weights, like, it's just
That's awesome.
exhaustive. Yeah. And
But
again, it's turned into one of those things too, where I'm probably a little too in touch, kind of like, Trey or Mike Carroll, or, like my fitters and my contacts, and I'm probably reaching out a little too often.
Yeah. You guys are having a lunch date next week. Just
my
to hang
favorite
out.
too is his name's Jake from PXG.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Jake from
talking to,
State
honey?
Farm, Jake from
Right.
PXG.
Actually, still, I
exactly.
can't get to it right now, but I got a PXG poker chip with my fitter's contact information from the last time I was there.
That's their business
Yeah,
card,
I think it's cool. I think it's cool.
Pretty good.
A little ball marker, so if I forget it on the green, somebody else can pick it up and go get fit. But PXG does do it really good. I've been there a couple times, even for their promos where they like, if your driver is better than ours in 3 swings, like you'll get $100 gift card or something like that.
Well, and I think that's brilliant.
Yeah,
Like, go
it
to a
got
brand
me in there to
agnostic
just
fitting,
try it.
and that's what I mean. Like, so if you can, what I would do in a perfect world, if I had no brand loyalties, and there's other reasons I'm loyal to PXG, like their veterans discount, things of that nature. But anyway,
For sure.
take the data from the brand agnostic fitting, go into PXG, and say, can you beat these numbers?
Yeah.
It really is that simple. Yeah.
Well, I would say on that same note, once you've gone and let's say you go to a fitting and you've got your numbers and you've got your things. Now I would say if you weren't ready to buy right then and there, which a lot of people aren't, a lot of people are just testing the waters and trying to see, do I see an improvement? Do I see this? Do I see that? Now you can go to a store like a Golf Galaxy where they have used equipment. I mean, I've never been more floored in my life than the first time I walked into a Golf Galaxy and saw full sets, like in those cardboard boxes that were half the price of a new set. And they were, I swear they had been used once. Like they looked brand new. And you can take any of those clubs into the bay. You can hit them into a mat. You can get your numbers. Like you can see, oh, this actually fits me. Or, I don't know. Now looking down at it in a different light, not out of the fitter, I think there's real value there. Like you can take the let's say you had 3 that were your top 3. You can go and you can hit those things as much as you want. I mean, sorry, Golf Galaxy, we're gonna get you a bunch of loafers that are just hanging around. But
also not a sponsor now. Keep going.
I meant Dick's. Same company.
That's not better.
No, that was a joke. Anyway, but
Pick someone
I do
with small pockets.
Exactly. Yeah. Go to your
Larry's
your local
golf shop.
I was gonna go
Your
with
local-
Joe's golf shop, but Larry's is good too.
Larry's is good. Yeah. Carl's Golfland actually is huge, which
Yes.
I
didn't
really
realize
enjoy
how
their
big
ads,
that
actually. No, they're
company
enormous.
Yeah.
Carl's, do you wanna hop on this train?
Somewhere out there, there's a third named Larry going, hey.
And more importantly, there's a Carl's.
I just found you guys.
There's a Carl's steak shop right in the town where I went to college, and now I want to go get a steak and cheese. So, I'll see you later, guys.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Brian's done. All right. I mean, that might not be a bad bit to end on.
Wasn't it
steak and
Carl's
cheese?
Jr. that was selling hamburgers with by using women in bikinis?
Probably.
Oh, 100%.
That sounds accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, the big giant burger that was bigger than their head and it's just dripping all over them. Yeah. Classic.
Speaking of Carl's, that's where my head went.
Yeah.
What does that say about me?
That's how we should be advertising our podcast, by the way, is just us in bikinis eating messy burgers. Because what wouldn't draw people in?
And now we know why you can't touch your toes.
Yeah. Right? It's all that chest hair.
I don't think that's what he was going for, but that is also really true. Yeah.
Soft right there.
Ooh. No, hold
So
on.
anyone who
Oh,
consumes this podcast
yeah.
by YouTube, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You should
Yeah.
be.
All right.
The
So what are
plucking a hair out of your mouth was a lot. Yeah, exactly. All right. So
let me end on one
go
thing
for it.
though. And what the biggest advice I would give to anyone going in for a fitting is you don't have to be a fitter yourself. You don't have to be an expert, but you are the consumer. It is your money. Don't just go in and blindly accept, whatever outcome from that. If you don't like, you need so even if you can't see the numbers, you need to see a ball flight you like. You
Yeah.
need to see a club head that you like. And you need to have a positive overall experience. I can't stand it when I hear these people that feel like, yeah, I felt they regret their fitting and they felt pressured into buying something. I've never understood that because it's like, I don't care how much you're trying to pressure me. This is my money. I'm not giving it to you unless I'm happy and very comfortable. You know what I mean? Am I alone in that?
No, not at
No,
all.
but I think that goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of feeling comfortable with your fitter and knowing that it's one of the reasons why I think I like to pay for a fitting. I don't like the fitting to be free because then I feel obligated to make their time worth it. And if you are going to a place like True Spec, I'm going to use them again because I've been there before. It isn't cheap. It is, a full bag fit is a couple $100.
You're paying for a professional service,
but you're paying for somebody who really genuinely knows what they're talking about. The guy gave me a ball fitting because I deliver fairly low spin. And so one of the ways to mitigate that right away without having to buy new clubs is to buy a spinnier golf ball. That helps like right away. And it was such an easy recommendation. He was like, listen, I know you're not buying today, but you should definitely be playing like the Pro V1 X as opposed to the Pro V1. You should be playing a spinnier golf ball because you are fairly low spin. It wildly helped. That kind of trust and relationship that you can build with somebody, like I would go back to that guy in a heartbeat. It was a really good experience. And the same thing with Chad at Forward. Like I feel like we have a rapport where we got along. That was part of it too, but it was very casual. It was there was nobody else in the studio. It was just us. We were just hanging out. Like he had a couple of employees that were listening in that were like learning how he fits. It was a really cool experience, and that ability to leave and say, you know what, I feel really confident in these numbers, and not just because I was striking the ball well, but I was. But that was the other thing too, is that with that fit, the closer we got to the desired ball flight, spin number, peak height, all of those things, the better the strikes got because those things were changing. We were changing shaft weight and length and lie angle and bounce and all those things. And all of a sudden, something that I was struggling with my irons, I wasn't struggling with this particular setup. It was easy. And so those are the things I think that people can genuinely gain value from, is that a good fit will get you into something that actually improves your game almost immediately. That there isn't a like, oh, I got new irons, I got to go break them in for the next 3 months. That's you getting used to something. And you can do that with literally any club you buy off the rack. You could take that for 3 months and try and adjust your game to that. Getting fit, one of the reasons getting fit is so good for beginner golfers is they're meeting you where you're at. And that is going to help improve your game because you're going to get more consistency of strike, more consistency of distance, more consistency. Like it's going to make the game a little bit easier. And this game is so hard as it is that anything that will help, I think, is a value.
Yeah. And I think like summing it up, discuss your budget with your fitter right off the bat. If you only want to
Yes.
test OEM
Yep.
stock non-upgrade, tell them that they'll be happy to fit you into what you're comfortable with. Communicate with them. It has to be a conversation. Let them know if you liked the way one looks and feels or swings, or if that swing was bad. Let them know. If it's not your normal miss, let them know what is your normal miss. That's very important. And then trust but verify, right? Once you get your new clubs and you get them out on the course, hit them, you should be seeing the results that you saw in that fit. If not, don't be afraid. Like, I could call up my fitter tomorrow and be like, yeah, that's
You lied to me.
it's not looking the same that we did that day. Let's go down, let's check out. They'd be happy to have you back. Check the numbers, check it, or go do a whole club gapping, right? Make sure that those irons are hitting the target you want, because you might need to tweak the loft on one or two of them if you do an iron fit. Like, it should be more than just a one-time transaction.
I think that is an excellent point, because several of the fitters that I have been to, they offer that service. If you see a difference, and I know I'm 90% sure PXG does the same thing. If you see an on-course difference than what you saw in the fitting bay, you come in and they will get it right. They'll find what is slightly off. They'll check all the lofts and lies. They'll check all those things, and that is why I think it's so valuable to find somebody that you trust, is because it does become a relationship back and forth. It isn't just, I'm going to a store and I'm buying something off the rack and I'm hoping that this is the one that's going to work. So, all right, cool.
Spit out some knowledge there.
I mean, it feels like maybe that might be helpful to somebody.
Could be.
Maybe.
That's why we're here, to help people.
And also to have a drink together. Yes. So cheers.
I'm here to make bank, bro.
That's right.
Here to golf.
Right.
I can't. I'm so happy I played my first 18. I was actually a little.
We didn't even.
I know we didn't even.
Brian, we didn't even get into that. Brian, everybody, just a moment of silence.
You have a gift. Every time we're wrapping it up.
No, I don't even care. I don't even care if this gets cut. Like, I'm just so happy that I was able to. I was nervous that I was just.
Okay, goodbye, everybody. No, no. Brian got his first 18 of the year. Is that possible? That this is the first 18
outside? Yep. I had the simulator league for a little while, but outside. Yep.
Incredible.
And I shot a 78. It was really good. All bogeys and pars. It was very ho-hum, low stress. Just had fun with the kid out there and played some golf.
Sounds kind of decade-y.
You know what? It was. I don't want to get into it because we're trying to end here, Hayes, but it really does.
Don't say that to me like I did this.
I'd say it was like a decade light round. Like, I'm trying to start taking those concepts that I've listened to onto the course, and it's a learning thing to get the process down.
Yeah, well, look at the time. Thanks everyone for listening.
But it does make your decisions easier on the course. So I'm already liking the way that that's going.
Hey, a guy like me with my intellect, I'm thrilled to not have to think at all. You know what I mean?
Yes, I lift things up and put them down.
Tell you what I am doing here. Look how far my ball went compared to yours. Yeah.
Thank you for being here, everybody, and we'll see you in a couple weeks, probably.
It's a podcast. We won't ever actually see them.
I actually will see some of these people because I'm going to Myrtle Beach, and so are they.
Is there a podcast Comic-Con that we can go to?
A Podicon?
I want to see Hayes at one of those sorts of things.
You're going to dress up in your best podcaster costume?
Yeah, we have to dress as golfers.
It's just a hat. Yeah, exactly.
You'll be in.
Did you see this? This is my new hat. It says hello.
It's very pixelated again, so I can't really.
It says hello, and then better on the range.
Nice.
Guys, we're doing a terrible job of actually cutting it off.
Yeah, but we could just cut this out if we really wanted to. This is just us.
No, this is me cutting it out. Everybody, thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, boss.
All right, how was that? Huh? That was pretty fun, right? Aren't you glad you stuck around and listened? Aren't you glad you stayed to the end to watch me back in the airport bar? Cheers. This is... Take a guess. Is it fancy bourbon mixed with Diet Coke? No, of course not. It's cheap bourbon. Hey, Jeff. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Guess what's in here? Ice cubes, baby. That's how I like it. All right. Thanks for listening. We'll see you guys another time. All right, bye.